Alright, so I thought I'd make you a video so you don't fuck your thing up. So the first thing I do, I just lay everything out to make sure that everything's there. Vat, sanitizer, airlock, that's what an airlock is. You're going to need to get a strainer if you don't already have one. And then you've got your spoon, told you to get. Vat, lids, hydrometers. Your beer kit, so I'm just doing like a honey beer this time. Something a bit different, so when you open up you'll notice they have like instructions, they're very basic, so that's why I thought I'd make you the video. Alright, I just follow that with their processes, but I have my own process I mix it in with. Alright, so first thing, clean your vat with this shit. It's not awesome, you don't have to rinse it, but I do anyway. This is quite an old vat I'm using. Just look inside it. It's the first time using it should be fine, but sometimes if you don't dry them properly after you clean it, it could have mold in it, so just check. So I'm just going to give that a rinse out. So usually what I do for that, I just probably use a quarter to half a bottle of that. Chuck it straight in there. Warm that up, and while when you're starting, you gotta make sure that you have your kettle boiled just to start off with, because you might need it to maintain your temperature of your brew. Alright, so I filled it up. When you fill it up above this so you can sanitize that. Another thing you need just to get ready with your preparation shit. Sometimes you get a can, and sometimes you might get a bag. If you get a can, you'll need a can opener handy. And the reason why I get everything out to start off with, because you don't want to contaminate anything. Alright, so once you've filled it up above there, chuck your lid on. And this one's an old one, so it has a little cork for the top of it, so I just chuck that in. And you just give it a good shake. It's probably the most amateur video you'll ever see, but anyway, quick shake. Tip it upside down. Maybe cork and then no water will come out. Tip it upside down so the lid gets nice and sanitized. And then once you've done that, turn this on so that sanitizes in there. Quickly give your hands to sanitize. You turn it on again so you sanitize your hands. Once you've done that, turn it off. So now you've got this sanitised, your vat sanitised, all good to go. And then you just tip that out once you're happy it's clean. When you're doing it, you can also just make sure it's clean as fuck. Just do that. Get a good sanitised. And then just leave it upside down on your bench. Alright, while your hands are sanitised, what I usually do, just get the bottle, your spoon, tip a bit of fucking little bit of sanitizer on it, like that. And just clean the spoon. Once your spoon's sanitised, you pretty much leave it in there. And once I did foam pours, I just quickly, you don't have to rinse it. I rinsed the vat anyway again. I just make sure there's none of this shit left over. And there's no little bits of dirt or anything in there. And you can get your airlock as well. Just give it a wash down. It doesn't need to be too clean. That. And then what I do once I've cleaned and sanitised everything, just sit in your lid for now. Sort it out later. Another thing I didn't say too, make sure you get about 31 bottles, because you can make 23 litres. And if you don't have 31 bottles, you got to drink a lot of beer, because this could be ready between 7 to 12 days. Alright, so what we're going to do first is do the hops. So the hops come in a bag like this, usually. And then usually it tells you here, yeah, so you just get, it doesn't matter, 2 or 3 litres of water. At the end of the day, you're going to top the vat up to be about 23 litres anyway. So regardless of what you're using, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to fit probably 2 litres in my pot that I'm going to use with water. You don't have to worry about sanitising pot. It's about, I reckon it'll be about 2 litres of water in there. Don't have to worry about sanitising it because obviously you're going to boil it. So do that, chuck it on the boil, and just wait till it boils. Forgot as well, with your strainer you want one, I forget how many centimetres this is, it might be 20 or something. You want one that fits on the top easy like that. It's going to make life easier for you when you get to pour the stuff in, and that usually just keeps all the bits of hop out so you don't have a chunky beer at the end of it. And also what I forgot to tell you, I usually sanitise this with the little nozzle, but I forgot, but I just quickly done it by hand. So while you're waiting for the water to boil, you've got your lager. So if you ever make a basic beer without getting a kit, this is all you use. Use this, a kilo of sugar, hot water and the yeast that comes in this. So I'll show you. Do it open this, just put a spoon in here. I'm trying to do it one-handed so it's a bit harder. You get the idea, you just hold it with one hand and bend it like that. Just snap, you have that yeast there. Like I said, if you're doing the basic one, you'll keep it, but for this, get rid of it. And this is the yeast we'll be using for this one. Alright. While it's boiling, I'll just talk to you about shit. So in the kit you've got, you're going to have this, but it's in a bag, I think. You're going to have, instead of this, you'll have pretty much a big bag of sugar, kilo bag of sugar, which is fine. Look, at the end of the day, as long as your hops are done properly in there, as long as everything just ends up in there and gets well mixed, you shouldn't fuck it up, and your yeast goes on top. And they say the yeast is the most important part, so don't fuck that up. And my one, this one's going to be like a honey wheat beer. Not really my style, but fucking the best thing is you can try shit. If it tastes bad, you just binge drink it till it's all gone and start again. And you're going to have a bag of this shit, so you don't really need to, but just when you get a tin, I sit it in hot water in the sink for about 10 minutes before I'm ready to use it. It just softens it up and it'll pour straight in, it won't all stick to the sides. But you'll have the bag, so once you're ready to tip that in, you'll just rip the top of the bag and the syrup will just fall in, that'll be fine. Alright, so now you've got boiling water, just going to move it from there to this one, back up. There's another thing that could fuck your beer up. I've realised that I don't like beer too hoppy, so I don't put it all in. So use that, and you can weigh it. Some of them you only use like 15 grams, so you got to make sure you have scales or something, or it's just guesstimate. They don't smell like the nicest things, but that's what they look like. So make sure when you put it in, you want to make sure the water's boiling. No, so it's spread out, so I'm just going to add most of them. Just left a couple in there, so I'll put like 22 grams in there. So you'll see in there it just goes all green. So what I'm going to do now, you just simmer it. You don't have to stir or anything. You just leave it in there and it will just simmer. So you just do that for about 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be that much, but I just set a timer and we watch. And then I think off memory what you would do, because you're going to have sugar in mine, I've got malt so I don't need to do it now, but you'd mix your sugar in there too eventually till all the salt dissolves, and then that'll be that part done. So yeah, about 2 minutes. Just got your message, Jason homebrew tutorial. Better than fucking Cooper's homebrew tutorial. So just move it onto another hot plate so it fucking simmers. It's just important while it's simmering, you know, let it boil up again. That's about fucking 2 minutes. So once it's done that, you just set to the side and it just steeps for about 15 minutes. So I will see you in 15 minutes. Water. In that 15 minutes, if you have a can, like I said, you don't have to worry about it with the one you got. I don't think you do, but if you do, just put the cans in there. Just warm water, it doesn't have to be fucking boiling. Got my wheat one as well. So that's, I don't know if I mentioned it, I've just finished night shift, so that's going to be mine instead of sugar. And then I've got honey as well, so I'm just going to chuck that in there. And like I said, it just softens it up. Alright, so that's been about 15 minutes. So what I usually do, I put just normal tap water up to about here to start off with the brew, because you're going to be pouring boiling hot water in there. Sometimes with the vats, especially the cheap ones, I might go soft. So a bit of water in there. Alright, doesn't matter how much because it's all going to end up to about 21 or 23 litres anyway. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to get the hops that we've cooked. So in your one, I think you would have dissolved the sugar in there already, then you would have had the hops. So it's going to be sugar and hops dissolved in there, and you're going to tip it through the strainer into your fermenter. So when you do it, the importance of a strainer is for that. So that's just shit you don't want going into the bottom of your fermenter. Alright, so I've got this out of the hot water and opened the top of it. So you'll see the substance of it when I tip it in, it's just like the syrup. So if you've got the bag, obviously you'll just squeeze it in. If you've got a tin, I've heated it up so it's nice and soft. You just tip it in like that. Try not to get it onto your spoon or to the side of the vat. Like I said, the reason we keep the spoon in there so we're not contaminating it with anything. So for yours, once the syrup's in, that'll be the end of it. With your it's actually called wort, but we'll say syrup for this. With your bag, you have to squeeze the shit out of it so you get every last bit. But with this, what I do, chips on the fucking spoon. Let's get the kettle, pour a bit in there. Get it all off the side. So try and use every bit you can. And if you want, you can just do the same with the lid. Obviously I have 2 lids because I'm using the wheat extract instead of the sugar that you would have used earlier. So I'm going to tip my wheat in, which again, you wouldn't have this because you had the sugar that you used earlier. So I've never used this before, so it's going to be interesting how it tastes. I don't really like wheat beer, so... And I'm just going to do the same, tip this in there, then put the kettle in there, get rest out, and then that's it. While you're doing, it's all part of the fun to see what it tastes like. It's actually fucking nice. I think that's much as I'm going to get out of that. Then with this one I've got honey, so it's just normal Capilano honey. Never used this before either, so I'll say that. Heating it kind of fucked it up. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know whether I was just meant to tip the top part in to get rid of the sugar or what, but no, because it'll be fucking a lot more alcohol if I did it wrong. Alright, and if you've got any shit on your spoon, like I've got some there, just fucking hot water again. And now, it's pretty hot, so you want to dissolve the shit out of it. So I'm going to stir it like crazy for a couple of minutes. Alright, so that's what we're looking at. So the best way to see whether it's dissolved, I've mixed it for a couple of minutes, is you just take a scoop from the bottom, run it up the side, and if it just goes clear like that and there's no clumps of syrup on there, you're pretty safe that it's stirred in properly. And we'll have to stir it again once we've topped it up with water. Now if you're going to set yours up in the laundry, next to your trough or something, you just leave it there instead of moving around. So a good idea is just to get a bucket or something to fill it up. So with the bucket, just same thing, sanitize a bit. Alright, so now because we've pretty much used all hot water in that, you're just going to fill up the bucket we just sanitised, with cold water, and you're going to tip it up probably to 18 litres. Yeah, it's important to see what the temperature's doing because you want to pitch your yeast to the right temperature, and it's got to be about 25 degrees. So this is about 27, so I'll just give it another mix in. What's your temperature? So it's getting higher now because we've mixed it. So I'm going to add cold water again. Right, so now we're just going to pour bit by bit. Maybe I'll get up to 19. What you need to do if it gets too cold, then you want to add hot water again. You can go by the Cooper's to-do list if you want and not stir it, but I don't know why you'd not want to stir it. So I reckon we'll be good to top this up the rest of the way. Obviously, if you want more beer and less alcohol, you can go up to 23 or 22. If you want less beer and more alcohol, you can go to 18 or 19. This should be, I reckon, about 5-6%. Right, so I worked it out. So I got to 21, a bit over. You can see now it's perfect. It's 25 on the dot. So I'm just going to stir it one more time. Now this is a part where you want to use your hydrometer to get the first reading. So remember at the start, we had some sanitizer. So the first tube I'm going to do, I'll just tip out, then I'll fill the tube up, and then that's when I'll get the reading from. So obviously you know how to use this because you've used it before. You wait for your bubbles to go down, flat surface. Drop it in there. Just a little bit of bubbles in there. If it gets stuck to the side, just give it a spin. Alright, so this start one is still a bit bubbly. It's very high because of the sugar. And very high because of the honey, so that's around, hard to see with the froth there, let's say 52, 53. So it'll be 1053 to start off with. So you write that down somewhere. It's important if you want to know what alcohol you got. This one here, I just put down the date I brew it, what beer it is, so you know. You use the app as well if you want to. I use both. The time and 10. I said 53, but I'm going to say 54 because I remeasured it. Alright. Alright, so now it's time to pitch your yeast. So remember what I said to you. You just want to fucking stir the shit out of it. Let's get some real momentum going up there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, boy. Alright, so while it's still moving a bit, I'm going to just pitch your yeast. Just nice and slowly. Get it everywhere except for on the side of the fermenter. You want to make sure you use every last drop of the yeast. It's nice, even spread there. Got everything. Alright. And then that's Josh and his buffet. So yeast down, still moving a bit, temperature exactly 25. And you're going to put the lid on. So if you don't want to carry this around anywhere, I suggest you put the lid on where you're going to keep it. Get the excess water from it. Thing you want to make sure you get it. Bloody kids. Alright, you want to get your seal on your fermenter good, because if you don't, the air will pop out and your airlock won't be able to give you an accurate account. And sometimes they're very shit seals. You kind of hug it. in this, it gets pretty. Bet you ain't fun. Alright, so this is your airlock. Use vodka or use boiled water. Hopefully it's cool enough. So what you're going to do is going to give it a clean out first. Alright, it's cleaned out. Fill it up to half and half. Alright, so out there. Sometimes there's a line on it. Yeah, line's there. So when I fill up half, that's how you start off. Alright, so I got my brew fridge here. You're just going to do it in the laundry. I just don't do that because of the fucking kids. I'll try and maintain this. So the temperature on it is always above 18. It shouldn't ever go above 28. So between 18 and 28, they say 18 and 26. So I'd say 22 is probably your perfect brewing temperature. Alright, now once you put this in, you don't want the liquid from this going in there because this is going to be full of bacteria and shit. Because they're pushing all the bad shit out through this. So once it's in, don't move it. And when you go to test it later, make sure you take this out before you open that up because this will go straight into your beer. So this goes in the top. Just push it in, nice and easy. It sits in there about halfway. And then what that'll do, this side will rise. You should start getting bubbles around by tonight. Well, you don't know what time it is, but it should start 10 to 24 hours. That should start going up there. And literally, it'll stay up there for a few days. You get the occasional bubble. It's fun to watch. And then you know when it's ready to brew, when it comes back to the start, back to what it is now. Alright, and that's when you take this out, you'll test it. Then leave it in for another 24 hours, test it again. If it's the same, it's ready to bottle. I'd say about 10 days. But until next video, we'll see you later, and then we'll shall bottle together. And just something additional, if you do decide to get a fridge, what I've got a heat mat in here, because it gets cold out here, especially in winter. In summer, late spring, you won't need a heat mat, but that just keeps the fridge warm. And the way I measure the temperature of the fridge is, got a temperature gauge here, so that tells me the outside temperature, that tells me the fridge temperature. So I made sure I warmed it up before I put the beer in there. The fridge temperature will say about 20 to 22 all the time, and it holds its temperature pretty well, so I'll probably turn that off in an hour or so, and it should be good. It will keep its heat for about a day or two, then I'll turn it back on. I often just, you want to check your brew every day just to make sure it's bubbling and fermenting. If not, you might have a problem, and there's a few troubleshoots to sort that out.